What's up, everyone? You're very welcome to this week's Cop Council podcast here on Anfield Agenda. I'm your host, Craig, and joining me tonight, I've got Daz and I've got Cash, and we're here to have a chat about all things Liverpool related. Daz, mate, I'll come to you first. Just want to have a quick chat about the channel. How is On The Bench LF3 treating you, sir?
Very good, thank you very much, mate. It's doing well, mate. It's ticking along. The subscribers, it's growing daily. More Liverpool fans to talk about our great club. It's very much like your one, you know. It's great to interact with other Liverpool supporters from all around the world, and that's what my channel's about. It's about hearing the views of the fans and getting the fans' points out there. You know, it's just lovely, mate. There's a real good feel factor about Liverpool supporters this year. It feels different. There's an expectation this season, as there always is, as I've said before. But this year, the live streams are different. You know, the fans, they want to see silverware this year. Everyone's buzzing. The results so far this season, it's great. Three points in each game. Yeah, it's amazing. So the channel's doing well, obviously, with victories. You know yourself running Anfield Agenda, and you guys, you'll see it. If the results are coming, then, you know, the fans are in good spirits. So it's amazing. Thank you very much, mate.
It's been really easy, hasn't it, to get on it and talk to people and talk about the Reds, because, as you said, things are going great, and when things are going great, life's fucking great, and it's a lot easier to get on here and talk to people about the Reds.
It is indeed, you know. But when times are tough, you know, I've been there. I've been on the streams when people are all negative and down and feeling it, and I guess when you're fans of a football club, you have to ride those times when it's not going your way. That's part of it. That's football, and I'm a Liverpool supporter, so I feel it just as much as the next one. And I guess having a channel like this, and like mine and like yours, it's about going through it together, and that's the main thing. And I started my channel because I wanted to talk about Liverpool. Where I'm from, you know, South England, my family supported Liverpool, but I didn't have many people around me that did support Liverpool. They was all Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, you know, all the rubbish clubs, obviously. So it was about talking to other like-minded fans and, you know, talking about Liverpool Football Club. And when we're not doing well, it was about being able to vent to other Liverpool fans about not doing well as well. But luckily, we are doing well now, and hopefully those great times are upon us and silverware should be around the corner. So, yeah, you know, being able to celebrate with the Liverpool supporters as well as through the bad times and, you know, going through that with them as well. It's great to be in the position that I'm in, and, you know, you're exactly the same.
Cash, great to have you back with us. You've just been away on a bit of a break. I have to say, you're looking fantastic. You're looking full of the joys of spring. You've got that glow to you. Did you enjoy yourself?
Thank you. Sorry?
Did you enjoy your trip away? Did you enjoy your time away?
Yeah, no, I had a great time, thank you. It was really, as I was saying before we went on air, I did a lot of the driving, so I don't feel super refreshed in that way, but it was really nice to sort of like see a different part of the country and be there with my friends and to just, yeah, have it. It's always nice to get away, to have a nice a new perspective, to then come back. So yeah, it was lovely, thank you.
I believe you were down in Cornwall, which is a beautiful part of the UK.
We were staying near St Austell, but then we went to like Penzance, Land's End, St Mawes, St Ives. We did a lot of driving and a lot of sort of like it's typical touristy stuff. But I would say if I was to put a highlight on it, it would probably be the Minack Theatre. It's obviously a theatre that's effectively carved out of rock right beside the sea in Port Curthrow near Land's End, and it's like amazing. So we watched a play called Me and My Girl, which is very... well, the storyline's not that interesting, but it was a really, really cool like setting, and you're literally like watching the sunset as you were watching the performance, and it was class. It was really good. I
did see the I was actually going to ask you about that. I seen the images you put up on your Twitter account about that play, and it was kind of it was a little bit political. I think it was a little bit comedic. There was a few little bits to it, and I meant to ask you what it was about, and you've just kind of jumped over it. But I want to drag you back in and kind of give me a bit of a brief on what that was about.
Me and My Girl is effectively, well, it was originally a play in like the 1930s, and it was about this, I suppose, like the aristocratic lifestyles of this family based in Herefordshire, and essentially they the main heir has a son who is like a proper Cockney geezer from Lambeth,
a bit like that,
and Well, yeah, effectively. Well, for the sake of this, we'll call him Daz.
We will.
And he comes into their world because they've told him that he effectively is the heir of Herefordshire. He comes into their world, and he is completely like divorced from their world in the sense that he's like a chav. Effectively, he doesn't speak the right way. He doesn't display all gentlemanly traits, and he's betrothed to this girl who they consider to be an absolute chav, as well. And so he stays loyal to her. The whole play surrounds the fact that they want him to become upper class, and he wants to remain as he is. And the culmination of it is that he remains how he is, and he doesn't betray what he believes in, despite the fact that he has all this money that he can potentially inherit. So sad for him in a financial sense, but it was really, really good. But they've reworked it, and Stephen Fry has been involved in the rework, and they've made it like quite modern in terms of like the references and the things like that. So it's obviously not as it was written. But yeah, it was really, really good. And I would say just watching a good play in that setting, it's not something that you can do everywhere. So I really liked it for that reason.
I have to say, I absolutely adore Stephen Fry. I'm a massive Stephen Fry fan. I can't recommend his book highly enough. Actually, his autobiography or his biography, I'm never sure which is which. One is written yourself and the other is written for you, I think, if memory serves me correct.
Autobiography is written by yourself. Biography is written about you, I think.
There you go. So there you go. Right, bringing it back to Liverpool a little bit and getting to our listeners' questions. This comes in from, I completely forgot to get listeners' questions before I came online today, so we sat here before we started recording and came up with a couple of questions. And what he wants to know, Daz, is have a little chat about the KFC versus Crocodile Dundee YouTube fight that was on last night, or whatever their fucking names are, because let's be honest, we're too old to give a fuck about these guys. But look, got to give a shout out to Jace Roberts, by the way. They were his two terms there, not mine. KFC and Crocodile Dundee were his terms. But yeah, having a chat about them anyway. It kind of got me to thinking, what two Liverpool players, Daz, would you pay money to see fight each other? Or do you think we'll put on a good fight?
Very good question. There's definitely a few in the squad that would put up a good fight, I reckon. I think there's something this season, I think for a few seasons at least, I think Liverpool needed beefing up a little bit. Talking about small players, especially under Brendan Rodgers, there was a lot of little weaky players in there. But now you see, like...
You can say Joe Allen. It's all right. You can say Joe Allen.
All right, wee Joe Allen in the team.
That iconic picture of Joe Allen, like holding the chicken with the hand. That's what I always think about when I think of Joe Allen.
Yeah, we definitely got a few lads in there now capable of having a scrap, I reckon. But I'll tell you what, I would say Van Dijk, because most people would say, look, he's an animal, he's a beast. And I guarantee most people would also put Alisson in there now because he's a big lad. But I want to put Robbo. I reckon Virgil against Robbo. I think Robbo he'd fancy his chances, you know. I think, I think he'd be a bit of an animal. I think he'd get stuck in. I've seen picture. Have any of you guys seen the picture of Virgil picking him up like he's a loaf of bread? Though it was
I've seen that
a month or so ago. So I don't know whether Robbo would really do great against Virgil, but. He definitely would give it his best shot, you know, a bit of a bull terrier or something against him. But yeah, those two, that'd be a good show to watch.
It'd be an interesting fight because there's no doubt VVD'd have the reach advantage on him, especially with those long legs of his. And you think about the Dutch and mixed martial arts anyway. The Dutch, especially with kickboxing, they have a massive background there. It could be a short fight, but I think you're right. I think Andy Robertson is definitely somebody who wouldn't just get knocked down and give up. You'd have to throw the towel in. You'd be getting the full kicked out of him. You'd have to throw the towel in.
It'd be a mess, but I could just imagine him just keep jumping, going. I reckon Robbo would start it by just running like 60 metres up to Virgil and just jumping through the air and sticking a nut on him. That's the way I see it starting. You know, like Virgil don't even
beg beef from train spotting. That's what I'm seeing there.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it starts because Virgil's cracked a little joke in the changing rooms, right? And Robbo's got wind of it down the local. And Virgil don't even know this is coming. And Robbo's all of a sudden, he's running miles. And then all of a sudden, Virgil's standing, he's talking to Genie or something, right? Because they're like best buddies. And then next minute, Robbo's just jumped clean through the air and smack. The head comes out of nowhere. And Virgil just literally, his head just turns one way. He comes back. He just smiles at him. Can you just imagine that? And Robbo just picking himself up off the floor because he's a bit dazed from the headbutt, and he just looks at Virgil, and that's where he goes, it was at this moment he knew he fucked up. Morgan Freeman.
I can almost imagine Virgil van Dijk with, after getting the headbutt there, a little bit of blood trickling down his tooth, and he's just kind of looking around going, you made me bleed, dickhead. You're getting it.
Yeah. Thinks that pigeon's flown into him again because he's that high, it happens on a regular occurrence.
See, cue to the end where Robbo's in the corner, blood covered in his face, pouring iron brew down his face to wash the cuts and all.
Oh, who do you reckon would be in Robbo's corner? Do you reckon Milner would be in there?
Like, definitely Milner. Yeah, definitely Milner.
I think definitely Milner. I had a group of lads in work today that were from Scotland, but like even if you didn't know they were from Scotland from listening to the talk, they literally had the Rangers game on a phone on the table and 2 cans of iron brew. As if to be like, we are Scottish, hear us roar. It was like, okay, we get it, you're Scottish. Put the iron brew away. It was very amusing. Yeah, I think James Milner and Robbo are really good pals, aren't they? So I reckon he'd be in his corner. I think it'd be kind of like, I think a lot of the traditionalists would really root for Robbo. He's a bit of an underdog, isn't he, Andy Robertson? So I think a lot of he might have some shit people in his corner as well, though. You reckon? I reckon some people like Divock Origi might try and like tag in to fight for him, but like Rob will be like, no thanks, we don't need you, Divock.
Yeah, it's alright, Divock. Fuck off to Dortmund, mate. It's grand.
Yeah, get back over there. Get back up. You had your chance. Now fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, more or less, alright. And then, ironically, in the midst of Divock trying to help Andy Robertson then just knocks Divock out.
Then Moreno comes out of nowhere, fucking table ladders and chairs match starts out of nowhere. You know Moreno's going to cause shit. He's definitely in there.
Moreno would be shit in a fight. I think he's an absolute pussycat.
He's the fucker that hides under the ring with a chair. That's who he is, like.
No, Moreno's the one that stands there giving it all the mouth, and then when it kicks off, he runs off. He is that but he starts it, and then he does a runner. He's the one that told Virgil, that told Robbo what Virgil said. Moreno's that sort of person.
But when you're reliving the story, it's completely different. Moreno was fully involved. He was right at the height. We were kicking fuck out of him when this happened.
Yeah, I did this, I did that. You didn't do shit, mate. You was with Origi. Fuck off.
Cash, for you. Who would you pay to see fight each other? Or who do you think would be a good fight?
I think if you're looking at purely who would you pay to see fight each other, I would like to see Virgil van Dijk and
poor old Virgil didn't get a fucking chance here, is he? By the way, he's all having punching the head off somebody.
No, but if you're looking at pure any of the stills you see of the players and looking at pure definition, I'd love to see Virgil van Dijk and Wijnaldum, because both of them are just sculpted to fuck, and just look so strong from the waist down. But then they're compatriots, so I don't want to see 2 Dutchmen fight each other. But purely from a muscular perspective, they're both excellent. But if you're looking at I think Roberto Firmino would be good to watch fight, because I think he'd get involved a bit of the old fish, eye gouge, fish hook. I reckon he'd do some rage, crazy shit. So I think I'd like to see him fight. Well, maybe Jordan Henderson, because I feel like he probably hates Jordan Henderson on some level. I don't know why I think that, but that's just what I think. I think secretly they all hate Henderson. No, I'm joking. Roberto Firmino would be interesting to watch fight, because I think you'd be expecting a punching match, and then he'd probably whip out some sort of weird swords or something random. He'd probably whip out the paraphernalia. So yeah, I think Virgil van Dijk against pretty much everyone, because he's just the most of a specimen. But then I would like to see what Roberto Firmino would do in a fight. And then also, as you said before, you've got the classic typical hard man Glaswegian and Andy Robertson. And then I reckon actually someone who I think would be good in a fight as well is Nathaniel Klein. I reckon he
looks like a pimp, by the way. Nathaniel Klein looks like a pimp. Can we get that out there? Can we just be on? He looks like a 70s pimp.
Yeah, absolutely. And particularly since he started doing that whole he appeared on that Miami reality show that the video emerged from, where he's just in this Miami hip hop reality show. Have you seen this?
No, but now all I can imagine is him going up to Moreno going, "Bitch, where's my money? Bitch, where's my money?"
Well, kind of, but it was weird. It was I don't know the name of the show, but essentially it was a hip hop artist based in Miami who was in a clearly constructed scene with this woman that he had beef with, and as the woman came up to him to be to confront him on said beef, the caption was, international soccer star Nathaniel Klein. So Nathaniel Klein just stands there, doesn't say anything, and then just trots off. So it was really, really weird. And I should dig out that video because it's kind of amusing. Because it's like a 30-second clip. But the point being, I think Nathaniel Klein's quite a quiet type, and I think he may well be excellent in a fight.
I'm loving that. I'm loving this. You know, for me, it's plain and simple. I would love to see Dejan Lovren kick fuck out Simon Mignolet. And I mean, yes. Dejan, mate, you can consider this a financial offer if you want to go ahead and do that. I'll raise the money somehow, mate. And I think he'd enjoy it. I really do think he'd enjoy it. I think he's had enough of Simon Mignolet, if I'm being honest. I think deep down, he blames Simon Mignolet for some of the shit that he's gotten over the years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that for me.
I reckon Jurgen Klopp gets involved in any of this. I reckon Klopp gets involved. I don't think he takes any sides, but I think Klopp's one of them that if he sees a fight kick off, he don't give a shit whose side he's on. If he's had a few, he might just, come in and just start slapping people about just for the fun.
I reckon he's the type of manager that lets the fight happen and then says, right, now that's over with. We move on.
Yeah. After giving a couple of them a nugget or something, gets them in a headlock and just starts.
We had a teacher like that in school. They used to, if a fight broke out in PE or anything, like, he'd let the fight happen, and it was only if somebody was really getting the fuck kicked out of him that he'd step in. If it was a fair fight, like, he'd let it happen, and then when it's over, he goes, right, that happened, we move on. That was just, he was like a proper teacher. Like, yeah, it was great.
That's what you want.
Right, Dad, second question to you, and this one's a little bit more a downbeat. So, if you were to drop dead tomorrow, mate, what would you regret not having done in life?
Oh, bloody hell. So, if I was to die tomorrow, what would I have regretted not doing?
Yeah, what do you regret that you haven't yet done, that you wouldn't have had a chance to do, or that you wished you'd done and didn't get around to yet?
That's a really difficult one. There's so many things that, I think if you actually did die, then you probably would think of, but up until now, I guess it's one of these things that really you should have goals in life, and I'm one of those characters that I just don't. I'm a family man, and as long as I can provide for my family and stuff like that's my goal in life. Is just making sure that my kid grows up well. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I guess if I died tomorrow, maybe it would be not making enough money to make sure that my son is, supported throughout his life. Because I think that would be one of the goals that I wanted, really, is to do that. But then I don't know, because I'm looking. If you want something really like exotic or adventurous or whatever, like I'm really scared of heights and stuff. So the one thing that I always said that I wouldn't do is like jump out of a plane or something. But I guess if you're dead, it doesn't really matter, does it? So yeah, probably like doing like a parachute jump or something like that. Because yeah, that would be something that I would never do because I'm petrified of heights. But yeah, I think if he was already dead, it wouldn't matter, would it? So fuck it, jumping out of a plane. That would be something that would take a lot for me to do. So yeah.
And Cash, for you, what would you regret not having done?
If I was to die tomorrow, I think my big regret, well, I would have two. I think the first one was that everyone obviously, well, a lot of people know that my original sort of aspiration was to be a barrister and a lawyer, and it hasn't quite gone to plan. I think my biggest regret would be that I wasn't able to make that happen, or it didn't happen for me, or whatever way you want to phrase it. I've always felt like I'd be very good at representing minorities and smaller people that don't have the voice and legal ability to represent themselves. And if I never get that opportunity, and if I was to die tomorrow, I would really regret that. I think the second thing would be that obviously I've had relationships. I've been like I've obviously like loved people, but I've never had that like real like marriage level relationship or that real like lifelong partner. I wouldn't say that I've met my soulmate. So I suppose my biggest regret in that respect would be that I would die having not had true love, and it's in the form of meeting the person that I'm meant to be with.
Jesus Christ, I'm gonna seem like an awful heartless cunt here. I was gonna say my biggest regret would be like that I didn't live to see drugs legalized.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think. Well, you know what? Actually, that's an interesting one. I'll add a third one. I would regret not living to see assisted suicide legalized, and I don't want to go down a controversial route here, and I'm not trying to, but what I mean is, in certain instances, I think the fact that there's a blanket ban on assisted suicide in England is a regret. And Ireland, I think there's certain instances in which, that would be the more humane thing to do for someone. So that would be a regret of mine. I think that's something that I would like to see legalized within my lifetime.
Yeah, I just don't like the whole theory behind criminalising drugs and drug dealers, or not drug dealers, sorry, drug users and stuff like that. There's other ways around these things. It's not right. I mean, I often think about it. Why is it okay to go in, and look, this is chat for another day, but why is it okay to go into a bar and get one mind-altering substance in there that's taxed and is perfectly fine to be sold in pint glasses? But then you get arrested for smoking weed, or somebody gets arrested for taking E or snorting coke, and it's all the same fucking thing at the end of the day. You have no control of your faculties. It's just one of them is a taxable asset for the government and the other one isn't.
Yeah.
Look, that would be mine personally. Especially the whole thing. I watched a couple of programs around junkies being criminalised basically for being like addicted to drugs. And rather than them getting the medical help that they need, they just keep getting locked up, let back out, locked up, let back out. And that's no good to them. As a society, that shouldn't be how we treat somebody that clearly has an addiction and a physical, chemical need to be treated like. So there's a few things like that. I could have just said heroin, which was something else. We're like, I wouldn't mind trying heroin. Because I got to be honest, if I was going to die in a day and I knew what a day to live, I've got to be honest, having a bag of heroin would probably be top of the list somewhere to give a go of it if I had one day to live.
I think to reword mine, I think it would be like overcoming my fears, probably like the heights. Like that's what I was trying to get at. Like jumping out of the plane. It's doing the things in life that you hold yourself back from doing because you're scared of doing it. Like it's silly things. I wouldn't jump out of a plane because why wouldn't you jump out of a plane? You're scared of heights because what is it like? You might die if you do it, but if you died tomorrow, you're already dead. So you wouldn't give a shit. You would have done it.
Who was it that said life's what happens while you're busy making plans? I think it was John Lennon or somebody said that life's what happens while you're busy making plans.
Yeah, I think you worry too much, don't you, in life, and you stress too much. So I think, say if you died, you would look back and you'd think to yourself, why didn't I just do that then? Why didn't I just do this? Why am I always stressing about things and trying to do it? So I think your one big regret would probably be, is just live for the moment and just do shit. Don't stress about it. Don't worry about things. If you're scared of stuff, don't be scared about it. Just do it. And I think that was kind of what I was trying to get at.
Cash, speaking about living for the moment, Jurgen Klopp named an unchanged team yesterday for the third game in a row against Brighton. So thoughts on that one? Moving it back to Liverpool, because this is a Liverpool podcast after all.
We spoke about this the other day on the stream, and I said that I didn't expect him to make any changes, and he didn't. I think continuity is really important. If you don't need to change it, why change it? Like in the sense that this team had scored, 6 goals, conceded none, and had won in 2 different but equally impressive ways. So why, so why change it if you didn't need to? So I think I was really, really happy about that, because I think the easiest thing to attribute a loss of form to is disruption within the playing side. And if we have a settled playing side, then there should be minimal reason for any kind of a loss in form. And 3 wins from 3, the decision proved vindicated. So yeah, I was really happy about it. And I think it's also it bodes well for the rest of the season, because inevitably we will have to rotate at some point. But to keep this team together for as long as we can, and you'd like to think this team will see us through the international break after Leicester, then that would be good. So yeah, I was happy about it.
And there's no place on the bench even yet again for Fabinho.
Yeah, I think Klopp, he's taking his time with him. As much as we would all like to see Fabinho come in and play, and if Klopp knows that he's got options to play ahead of him and there's no rush to play him yet, then fair enough. We're still winning games. There is no rush, I guess, to put him in there at the moment. You've got the options there. The lads are doing well. They're not at their flying best yet, but we'll add in Fabinho to that team right now, make us perform any better than that. Would we have got any more points in the league? It's not physically impossible. It's not possible, is it, to get any more points than what we've got? So there is no rush. As much as I would love to see him get some game time, Fabinho spoke about it's a new system playing with. I think he said, didn't he, that at Monaco he was playing with 2 in midfield. Now he's playing with 3 in midfield. It's an adjustment period. Yeah, it will just take time. I don't know how long it'll be until we see him, but after a while, I'm sure we start to see him play over this whole Premier League season. We're going to see Fabinho start to play for Liverpool. And when we do, I'm sure he'll be ready. And I'm sure that his performances, we'll all be going, wow, what a player, amazing. I'm sure then you'll start to see people as well say, oh, we could have done with him in this game or that game. Especially if we was to drop points in a game, there will be people who say, why didn't we see Fabinho in that one? But until then, I wouldn't stress about it, to be honest with you. Klopp knows what he's doing. He's the manager. And we're not seeing what's going on in training either. The lads that are making the first team, they're obviously impressing Klopp, and they're obviously the best players for selection right now. So I trust in Klopp.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, it's not unusual to see Klopp not dropping somebody in there straight away, somebody new to the club. I mean, we've seen him do it with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, we've seen him do it with Andy Robertson, and they were players who were accustomed and used to English football.
Yeah, it's just giving them time. It's just giving them time to learn the way we play. Liverpool do play different to most teams. Klopp's tactics are different. And it's not just that. It's Liverpool's tactics are different. But again, you're seeing different tactics from Liverpool in general this season. We are playing different to how we was last season again. Even the lads that are at the club, they're adjusting. I think we're seeing adjustments from all the players this season. People are talking about, oh, it wasn't the best game from this player. We're not seeing Liverpool at their best at the moment. So every player takes time, and we don't know how fit Fabinho is right now either. With the other players in the past that wasn't rushed straight into it, that's Klopp. Klopp don't rush going into a transfer market. He's a very calm man. As much as we see him animated on the sideline, he seems to be quite calm in selections and not rushing players into things. And I think that's what you need, to be honest. Imagine if, for instance, we brought Fabinho in. Yeah, imagine in these first games, Fabinho gets played and he doesn't have a great game. Yeah, he messes up. Say against Brighton, we're 1-0 ahead. Fabinho makes a mistake. They score a goal. We end up drawing that one. Everyone goes, oh my God, Fabinho this. He makes all the headlines. That will knock this lad's confidence before he's even got his Liverpool career up and running. Whereas at the moment, we've got players at the club that are doing a job. They're doing well. They're getting the 3 points. It's early on in the season. Why risk him at the moment? Let him learn the trade. Let him bed in. He just moved to the Premier League. He's just moved to this country as well. Give him time. And Klopp's not stupid in that sense. So it's good to see.
Cash, often when we're playing, I don't want to say an inferior team, but what's deemed a lower team or a lower level team in the Premier League, particularly at home, we want an early goal. We want Liverpool to go out there all guns blazing and get one in the bag, so we're not having to go to 60, 70 minutes with the Reds chasing the game. We got that yesterday, and it was an absolutely fantastically well taken goal by Mo Salah.
Yeah, it was lovely, and I think the interesting thing was that he, otherwise in the game it wasn't his best game. So I think it's demonstrative of the fact that he only really needs one. I wouldn't say he only needs one chance, but with very few chances or very little involvement in the game, he can still display his clear and obvious quality. And I think it like you said, Craig, I think the crowd at Anfield can get particularly nervous if there isn't an early goal, and that really punctured any nervousness in the crowd. And even though there were moments in the second half where there was genuine worry because we hadn't had that second really decisive goal, you just got the impression that early goal, coupled with the fact that we've just looked defensively really solid at home for such a long time, I think those two things together really lend themselves to the belief of, okay, it is only 1-0, but our best player has scored for us here. We've got this contained and we've got the men to see it through. And, the goal itself was a lovely move. But, much of the narrative from yesterday's game was it wasn't Liverpool's best game, but, and that's true, it wasn't our best game, but that was still an excellent move that would have had its place in any game of football. And I think it's nice to see that even if we're not at our cohesive best over the 90, that we're still capable of putting together such flowing moves in isolation.
That's touching on what Kasia said there. I do want to have a chat about the clean sheets. I want to have a chat about the defensive reinforcements and stuff like that. But before we move on, I just want to quickly get both of your man of the match for yesterday before we get on to talk about Alisson Becker, Virgil van Dijk and players like that. So Daz, for you, mate, man of the match.
It's got to be Genie. It's got to be. I think the performance against Brighton, yet again, he's so good. I think this season, we were talking about Genie in the pre-season, saying he needs to add goals to his game this year to get into the team, really, because of the new midfielders that we brought in. But I think his level in midfield has gone up yet again, even without really, he's not. I don't even expect to see him add goals if he's performing like that, because he just seems to be everywhere. His passes are good. I think with all the passes he made, I think I saw a stat somewhere saying that I think only one of his passes were misplaced. The rest of them was, on target. He just got about everywhere. When he had to defend, he defended. When he had to get forwards, he got forwards. It looked like there was 3 genies on the pitch at some points in that game. They really did. He's impressing me. He's impressing me a lot again this season. A lot of what Genie does goes unnoticed. I think it has done since he's been at the club. But this year, the one thing I have noticed is a lot more people are starting to talk about what he's doing, which is really nice to see, to be honest, because when you've got the Caters that have just signed for the club, everyone's going, oh, Cater, what a turn from Cater. Oh, amazing. But then you see Genie and how good Genie is when he's got the ball, and the touch that he did yesterday, I think it was a chest, wasn't it? And then knee, travelling forwards with it. But, that lad can turn with the ball. That lad's got a great touch on him as well. He can travel up the pitch with the ball. He's a fantastic player. He really is. I thought he had a great performance. He was man of the match for me. A lot of the players are still adjusting to the tactics, adjusting to fitness levels and stuff like that. But Genie has stood out so far this season for me. I think he's been brilliant.
Cash, for you, man of the match?
I think I think Daz makes a really good shout there in respect of Genie. I think the interesting thing is, you said there, Daz, so much of what he does is unnoticed, but I think finally it's being noticed. And I think there's very few players that are better at shielding the ball and protecting it than Genie. He was really, really good yesterday, but in a game where I don't think there were that many stellar performances, I really liked the performance of Trent. I thought he played really, really well. Thought he looked really bright. Obviously, there's that pass that's circulating all over the web, that he sort of pings it on the outside of his boot to Mo Salah, and there was definite evidence, I thought, of an understanding between him and Salah in general. And I thought he played really, really well. I'm not saying oh my god, he was spectacular, but obviously I think he continues to belie his age and years in terms of the performances he puts in, and he continues to make Nathaniel Klein a basic non-entity in respect to the fact that he wasn't even in the squad. That's how much trust there is in Trent. So yeah, I would say Gini Wijnaldum played really well. James Milner played well. And I think Trent played really well as well.
Thank you very much. I gave mine to James Milner on the stream yesterday. Sorry, I was trying to think back. The reason I kind of glossed over the game there, guys, and as I spoke about moving on, is because I want to have a chat about the defence overall and the goalkeeper and the massive changes we've seen over the past few years. But I wanted to do that in context with what Cash was saying yesterday about us almost feeling as a fan base like we were uncomfortable grinding out a 1-0 win, and it's not something that we're used to expecting once we go 1-0 up or being comfortable doing, and it's something that we're going to have to understand will happen more and more. One, because we're not always going to be able to blow teams away, but two, because we now are good enough defensively with this goalkeeper, with that back four, to be able to do it.
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, yes, we are, as a fan base, are used to seeing us blitz a lot of teams. But where has it got us in the Premier League? Where has it got? Have we won the Premier League? It's fantastic to see Liverpool outplay a team and score 4 or 5 goals in a game. Klopp said it himself. It's not about beating a team 4 or 5-0. It's about beating 5 teams 1-0. I think it's about finding that medium ground, isn't it, this season? If Liverpool, we've started the season really well in a sense of defensively, the clean sheets. We aren't seeing us at our best yet. And the reason I think we're not seeing us at our best yet, and the reason it's not flowing and we ain't been our best in possession and the attack hasn't quite clicked yet, is because we're working on these tactics. We're working on staying more compact compact at the back. It's common knowledge that if you don't concede a goal, then you've got a great chance of winning the game, because all it takes is for you to get one goal. You got a clean sheet. That's it. You win the game, And I think that's what Liverpool have got in their head this season. I think that's what they've been working on. Keep a clean sheet in the match, and we're more than capable of scoring. With our attack, we are easily capable of scoring against any team in the league. We've shown that in previous seasons that we can score against any team in the league, that we can go out there and score 3, 4, 5 goals. So now it's about finding that medium ground against these teams. It's about managing games. We're seeing maybe this season, if we go 2 goals up early on in the game by half time, if we're 1-0 up, 2 goals up, I think Liverpool's players, you see it in their head, we're 1-0 up at half time. Liverpool aren't coming out in the second half and thinking attack, attack, attack. We're thinking pass it about a little bit, spread the play out, draw the other team out a little bit. If they've got momentum in the game, Liverpool are thinking, how can we defend this? How can we take the momentum? How can we take the wind out of their sails? That's what I'm seeing when I'm watching the game so far this season. And that's what Liverpool have got to do, because this attacking play that we've seen since Jurgen Klopp's come in, it's been fantastic. It's entertaining to watch, but does it win you the league? It may have won us a league if you wasn't coming up against a Man City, in the league. But we've got to beat these teams that park the bus against us. Crystal Palace, they had a certain way to try and take points off Liverpool. It didn't work. Brighton, respect to Brighton for what they did, Everyone was saying 4-0, 3-0, 5-0. I saw the score predictions. I asked people what they were doing. Everyone was saying that. It was 1-0.
I've got to be honest, I was one of them as well. I have to be honest. I was saying 3 or 4-0.
Yeah, I said 4-0. You're looking at what we did to them last season. But again, it just goes to show that Liverpool have got a different mentality this year, I think. I think if we played the way we did last year, if it was clicking and we had the same tactics as what we did last year, I think we could have. I think we could have beat them 3-0 possibly. But they had a game plan that they wanted to be defensive. They wanted to be compact. And Liverpool aren't going to overcommit to anyone this year. It's about staying compact at the back as well. We will talk, like you say, about, the new additions to the squad. And I think that helps us defensively. But there's a different mentality about us this year. It's not just about going gung-ho at teams. It's not just about being aggressive on the attack. I think that goal, Cash was saying about it, the goal is a typical Klopp goal. It's about, winning that ball back high up, being aggressive, passing really quick, turning the play over really fast, and then being clinical in front of goal. And I think that's what we will see this year, is Liverpool being compact at the back, concentrating on defensively and keeping a clean sheet. But it's about when we win the ball off the other team. It's when these teams do park the bus, it's about being clinical when we get our chances, because in every game we've seen so far, when it does click for us up the other end, we will get chances, and it's about being clinical this season. So be compact, keep the clean sheet, and just be clinical when you get them chances. And it will come this year, guys. So, yeah, we're not used to seeing the way Liverpool are playing at the moment. But if we carry on with the clean sheets, it will start to click in these players' heads this year. The attack that we've got, we've shown that we can destroy teams. So once it all gels, guys, honestly, this is how we will end up winning the Premier League. And we've got to get used to it. And I can't wait. I really can't.
So you heard Daz was promising that we're going to win the Premier League this year. You've heard it here first. Daz from On the Bench LFC promising Liverpool fans that Liverpool are going to win the Premier League this year without a shadow of a doubt. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
With these tactics, it's not a promise that we'll win it this year. With these tactics, we haven't won the Premier League by trying to blitz everyone 5-0 because we got countered, because teams are beating us by sitting back defensively and then hitting us on set pieces and getting your goal. We are seeing a difference in us. And I actually do believe that if we stay compact and we do start to play like this is our best fucking chance of winning the Premier League over the next couple of years, honestly.
I'm with you, buddy. I'm absolutely with you. Cash, when I sent you guys out the agenda for the podcast, I said I wanted to have a chat about the Reds gone 3 games in a row without conceding, and about the improvement of the defence over the past 18 months or so, really. It's gradually got better, but a lot of that has happened since Virgil van Dijk came in. But I wanted to ask you, I broke it down into 5 areas that I think might be responsible for this upsurge in our defensive capabilities. So I've got Virgil van Dijk, Alisson Becker, coaching, because we can't look past coaching as well, The stability, i.e. us having an unchanged back four for the first time in a while as well, and possibly the increased midfield protection. So I wanted you to kind of have a look at why you think Liverpool's defence has improved, or we've got off to such a good start this season.
I mean, I think if you were to look at, I think all 5 of the factors that you've just listed are all important to varying degrees. I think if you look at what the most important is, I think undoubtedly, maybe not undoubtedly, but I think Virgil van Dijk is probably the most important aspect of what you've just mentioned there, because I think the whole last season he had 6 months with us, and in those 6 months you could see an immediate uplift in our defensive fortunes. Yes, there were other issues, mainly leading to the goalkeeper. But if you actually look at us as a defensive unit, separate from the goalkeeper, there was a definite upturn since he come in. But what I think led to that more than anything else was that he came in with the reputation of, this is someone that can genuinely fix things. And then he came in and completely fulfilled that reputation and was brilliant. So I think he's really probably the most important aspect in terms of like the initial building block. And then you look at the addition of Alisson. You even saw them at Crystal Palace on Saturday, like the way that they sort of like linked up, the way that they play with such abandon and real confidence that comes from being genuine winners. So I think adding Alisson to that sort of jigsaw, if you like, has made Van Dijk raise a level. And I think those 2 players, I think the personnel is probably the most important, because you can only do so much without good personnel. So without Van Dijk and without Alisson, coaching would only get you so far. Without Van Dijk and without Alisson and players of that caliber, having defensive continuity would only get you so far. It does mainly, for me, the upturn mainly relates to the personnel, and those external factors in terms of the coaching and the continuity and the things that surround it, they are ancillary to that, because if you don't have the players of that caliber, it doesn't work in the same way. But it's interesting. Sorry, pardon me. It's interesting in terms of the way, I don't think Klopp has necessarily wanted to do it this way, but it's kind of, he's layered it bit by bit. So when he came in, he didn't really have continuity. He didn't have the personnel. And all of a sudden he's got one player that he wanted, and then 6 months later he's got another player that he wanted, and then he's got Joe Gomez playing well and fit, and he's got that where he wants it, and then he can play the same back four largely. And it's, I think with Klopp, the reason that his projects are 7 years is because it does take a number of years to add each layer, and then the culmination of all that is that you've got a really cohesive defensive unit that are completely confident, completely contained, and largely are quite continuous in terms of the personnel involved. And with that allows us to have a different style of team than we've had previously, because we don't need to blow teams away. We don't need to have real attacking abandon, because we can rely upon our defense probably for the first time in a long time. So yeah, if we were to talk about the reasons and the most important aspects of the 5 things that you've mentioned, that's how I would rank them.
Whatever those reasons are, long may it continue, I have to say. Whatever got us off to this start, whether it be the goalkeeper, whether it be the continuity, all the things we spoke about, I hope that it goes on, because it's beautiful to see clean sheet after clean sheet. It's beautiful for the media not to have this narrative around Liverpool's defence being leaky or trying to list up excuses as to why we're defensively poor. To finish up tonight, guys, I wanted to have a chat about something a little bit different. I suppose it is football related, but kind of non-football related. So a story came out this week that suggests that Liverpool's owners, FSG, turned down an offer of in and around £2 billion. I'm going to say that again, £2 billion from the cousin of Manchester City owner, Sheikh Mansour? Is that the guy's name? I always mispronounce that name. This has led to suggestions that although Liverpool don't want an outright sale, they may well be happy to consider minority shareholding. So this idea is something that was done by Manchester City recently enough. I think it was 2015. They sold 13% to a Chinese investor for 265 million quid, which valued them at around £2 billion. So just as an example, LeBron James owns a 2% stake in Liverpool Football Club because of a previous deal that he has with FSG. His original stake was said to be worth £6.5 million when FSG took over the club, but now a few years later that's worth £32 million. So that kind of gives you an idea why FSG dads might want to be holding out here, because yes, they may have bought us for 265 million. yes, the club may be worth in excess of 2 billion now, but football in the Premier League in particular, and football clubs in the Premier League, are only going one way, and the value, mate, is going upwards because of TV rights, and because of the brand itself, the Premier League, because of the value of players, the increased gates. Everything is suggesting that for FSG, they're saying, no, we're not selling yet, mate, because there's more money to come from this.
100%. If you're FSG right now, they know all this. They are not selling. You would not sell the club. And I mean, the people online that are saying, FSG out and they're not willing to invest in Liverpool, they just want a quick buck, they want to keep all the profit and all that stuff. The one thing that I would say to anyone that's saying that, if you're looking at FSG and you think that they wanted to have a quick turnover and they wanted to make money on Liverpool, the amount of money that they bought Liverpool for, and then they got offered 2 billion, surely FSG would have took that money. That's a massive, massive amount of money for them to have been like, yeah, fair enough, we'll take that. We ain't got to buy any more players for Liverpool. We ain't got to put our hands in our pockets for expansions. We ain't got to do this. We ain't got to do that. We'll just take that money and we'll go. And they can go off to their next venture, They're not going to do that. FSG are clever. They will stick around anyway. I've got to say it, I'm happy with FSG. They're here. They're our owners. They clearly are looking, I would say, for this investment to sell a stake in a club. It would put us up there financially, able to compete with the likes of City and other top clubs around the world. So I don't see the harm in that whatsoever. I think that's all positives for Liverpool Football Club. So go get it. If there's someone out there that wants to buy into the club in that sense, then yeah, do it. You know what I mean? Like, this is all good. I don't have a bad way of looking at this at all. The amount of money that's going into football these days, Liverpool Football Club will be worth double the 2 billion within 5 years, easily, in my opinion. Do you think that's fair to say? You two that are here right now.
Well, if you're looking at the way it's gone, their investment has nearly gone. What's gone? What 800 times the value of what they bought it for already?
It's minimal. I think it's the football market's kind of like, I always liken it to like the sort of the London property market. Like, it's just accelerating at such a ridiculous rate that possibly isn't sustainable forever, but doesn't show any signs of abating at the same time at this moment in time. And you look at the Premier League as a marketable thing, and it's just unrivaled in terms of the world. So yeah, I think Daz has got a point in the sense that why would they sell now at this stage when there's scope for them to gain so much more in the future? And also, harken back to a point I made on the stream, it is possible for them to be good, to be primarily motivated by business related things, but also to be to have the best interests of the club at heart. So I do trust. I have trust in them, which is nice.
How mad is it though, Cash, that they could possibly sell a 15% stake in the football club now and get back their initial investment from that? Still own 85% of the club. And look, I know that's a very simplistic way of looking at it because they have helped fund the £160 million for the main stand. They've overseen £50 million being put aside for the new training facility and various other projects. But, from one sense, it's scary how good their investment has yielded.
Well, absolutely. And I think, but that's in no small part, attributable to the fact that they have made good decisions thus far. And they've, I would say, barring obviously the situation with the ticket prices where they made the wrong decision on that and they made a rash decision to raise them, which was then reversed in light of what the fans did. And obviously there was the situation that Craig and I spoke about the other night in terms of them sacking Kenny Dalglish, which wasn't the best. It wasn't executed in the best way, but in terms of a footballing decision, it was probably the right one. So taking those two things out of it, I think largely they've made very considered decisions. So why would they make, any decisions in relation to their stake that are anything but considered? So they could do that. They could sell their 15% stake and claw back everything they originally outlaid. But firstly, as you said, Craig, we don't know exactly how much they've outlaid beyond that in terms of the things that you've mentioned. And secondly, why would they do that at this moment in time? There's no pressure on them to do so. It's the first real tangible external interest we've heard of. If you're selling your house or you're selling an asset, do you just sell to the first person that shows you interest? Like, you don't. So, there's an argument to suggest that if they're open to this, open it out to tender, see what you can get. But if they're not actively looking to do so, I'm not concerned, because I think if they own an 85% stake or 100% stake, their influence has been largely, albeit not entirely, positive.
It seems to me, Cash, that if they are to take outside investment, they want to do so in a strategic sense, in that they're not so much worried about the capital. They're more interested in what particular markets or opportunities that this investment could open up for them to enhance the brand and the value of Liverpool as an overall asset.
Well, that's it. I think you've hit the nail on the head there, in the sense that if they are interested in doing this, it'll be to the right consortium or bodies or personnel that are able to attract the markets that they don't feel that they have yet enough of an influence in. Now, none of us work within the parameters of the club closely enough to know exactly what markets we're targeting on a day-to-day basis. But, the smart money would say, Asia. The smart money would say the Middle East. The smart money would say, Africa, particularly, obviously, in light of the players that we've got at the moment. So if they're going to do that, they're not going to do that in a sense that they're not going to do that to someone where Liverpool are already incredibly strong, like the UK or Scandinavia or parts of North America, because obviously that's where they're based. They're going to do it to strengthen the brand in an area that Liverpool isn't such a huge brand in. But once again, I'd reiterate the point that if we are interested in doing this, you wouldn't want to just deal with one group or one bidder. You would deal with a range, and you would look at, well, presumably you would get them all to pitch their ideas to you, because FSG in this whole scenario hold all the power, they hold all the cards, and they're not in a position where they need to sell to cover their cover the arse in their trousers, so to speak. They're in an incredibly powerful position, and we all know that money breeds power. And what I would be in no doubt as to, notwithstanding the fact that I don't know all the circumstances, I'd be in no doubt that they will not make a decision that isn't 100% right for themselves and the football club, probably in that order.
To finish up on this, I just want to say that anybody out there who does perhaps still want the owners to sell, or that wants other investments to come in, what I would say is the days of a local boy done good coming in to buy a football club because he's absolutely besotted with the football club and he grew up supporting them. The value of clubs these days, there's very few individuals around the world that can afford to buy them as individuals. So the odds are that the next owners or the next people to come in to take charge of Liverpool Football Club will be another investment fund or a government-backed entity. So, we're still not going to get that showering of gold that they want from somebody that only has the best interest from a footballing sense.
Yeah, this is something that I keep trying to say when I've had conversations with people that do say, FSG needs to sell. I say, look, sometimes it's better the devil you know, because as much as FSG, to me, when I talk about FSG, I don't. I'm not sitting here saying that I want FSG out, but I do see some points that people say when people have said, look, FSG, they don't come to all the Liverpool matches, they don't do this, they don't do that, and they've made some bad decisions. And I say, I get these points, but at the same time, I say that they come in when we was in a bad situation, they've done this. I think from the beginning, FSG, if you actually look at the wording that they've used, they have always tried to state, that their goal was to get Liverpool on track and funding itself, basically, with sponsorship deals and growing the brand of Liverpool and stuff like that, that we will be successful on and off the pitch. Financially, we will be able to compete with every other club out there again. Liverpool will be back to the top. And that's what FSG said. And I think some people look at FSG and go, oh, yeah, they're not pulling from their pockets. And I don't think FSG ever had this in their head that they would have to, empty their pockets out to go and buy a Mbappe or an Neymar or something. This is just recently there was a comment on my channel where someone said, the reason I want FSG to go and someone from Dubai or something to come in, for instance, and buy us is because we can't go out there and buy a Neymar or something, you know. FSG isn't aren't owners that are going to be doing that sort of thing, but what they are, they're businessmen, you know, they're clever, they're a group. But as you rightly said, Craig, you know, the next owners that possibly buy Liverpool, it's going to be another investment group. It's going to be another group along them lines as well. So they probably will end up being in a similar boat, and it could be worse. FSG, in my opinion, they're not bad. Klopp wants a player. He's being backed at the moment. Liverpool Football Club are backing Klopp. You know, he wanted a record centre-back, Virgil van Dijk, recently. He got that player. Whether that was FSG that sanctioned that in the end, whether it was Liverpool Football Club that had the funds already there and that ended up happening, I don't know the full ins and outs of how it worked, but I think more recently with Alisson, Klopp said once it came to his attention that he was available, he said it was just a quick phone call to the owners, and you know, and then the rest is history. The player become available. So it looks like there's an understanding between the owners and the people that's in the right areas now. And I said it all along. I said that for ages at FSG when they first took over, there wasn't the right people in the right places. But I feel like there is now. So I'm content with the way it's going with FSG, and I think they are clever. And Liverpool aren't for sale, and I think for a long time, I think FSG will be our owners. But yeah, I think if you look at it, it is a devil. If I'm talking to someone right now that wants FSG out, it is better the devil you know to you, because you don't know who will take us over next. And if they do take us over and go, do you know what? I've got loads of money. I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy a player for 300-400 million. But a player that's 300-400 million, right? If you gave Jurgen Klopp 300-400 million, I say that he buys you a squad. He buys you a team that helps you win the Premier League. If you get an owner in that comes in and completely messes it up right now, buys a manager that isn't a Jurgen Klopp or whatever, like FSG have done, that doesn't necessarily mean that you go out there and you win the Premier League and stuff like that. You've seen Chelsea's do it, you've seen City's, but it doesn't mean that Liverpool can do that in the future. So I like what FSG have been doing at the moment. I like that they got a good manager like Jurgen Klopp come in. I think the majority of Liverpool fans right now are happy. And just because this has come out about the 2 billion thing, I would say that I'm happy that they've turned that down right now, to be honest.
Guys, we could talk about this till we're blue in the face, and we could probably talk about this for 2 or 3 hours, but time has sadly beaten us, and it's something that we can get back to another day, because it's something that probably deserves an entire podcast and a bit more research. To be fair, I did spring this on you guys rather late. So look, I got to say a massive thank you to Daz from On The Bench LFC and to Cash for joining me on this week's Cop Council podcast. We hope you guys have enjoyed it. We hope you've enjoyed Liverpool's start to the season. How couldn't you, actually? Three games, 3 wins, 7 scored, none conceded, and Alisson Becker's chipping the ball over on rushing forward. So, I mean, how could you not love it? Until then, though, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon, and up the Reds.